Okay, so I'm just going to display one of my project I have built, which is the ATS AI. That means uh, it is capable to take your interview and do all the stuff. So I'll just giving you example like how this thing uh, take interview and evaluate the things. So if you are going to the evaluation, you can see the clarity, how much percent depth, correctness, relevance, confidence, professionalism, everything. Now, apart from this, how about the question? What you get the answer, and yep, and so on. And for every question, when you answer, it gives the evaluating the clarity, depth, correctness, relevance, confidence, and professionalism, and then it gives you an overall score. Okay. Now, apart from this, you can see here full interview video. And during the interview, if there is an code you are writing into the whiteboard, it will be get captured here. So right now it is a local storage. It was in my local development. Somehow I missed the file, but I will show you in another interview how it look like. So if you go here, you can see this is me, and yeah. So this was the interview result, and you can see it is showing at the rustfs. Rustfs is a storage here. So what that means, I will show you. You can see this is my rustfs system. So basically it is a replication of my S3 in my local machine. So if you go here, you can find the interview, and in interview you can find the webcam recording of the video. And apart from this, you get the subtitle as well. So what happens if you play this video? So now when the AI asks a question, so it gives this subtitle is getting displayed like this, so that when we are reviewing it, uh, you can see it in the real time. Okay, what was the question asked at the time of the interview, rather than uh, getting an audio output, because there is a two audio, the candidate is speaking and AI is speaking. So I decided not to record the AI audio. Apart from this, I'm just generating a subtitle here. Now you can see this is going back because this video is getting loaded real time from this rustfs system, which is this one. And now this is the subtitle, and and it got displayed here. Now let's go to the interview now. So I'm going candidate portal. So for this candidate I want to schedule an interview, so I'll click on schedule interview. And for the job, I'm going for machine learning intern and technical round, and we can choose this detail. So I will click schedule an AI plan. Now, so basically in the backend, the system is planning for the interview. So now you can see this is done. And yeah, apart from this, when the interview happens, I have a Langfuse with me. So if you go to Langfuse, this is my AI ATS project. I will go to project and I can see what happened uh, in the last XYZ days. And accordingly, we can see what is the transaction happened between the LLM. So if you see there is, if whiteboard code provide the question to technical, so if there is something in the whiteboard, it will be feed it to the LLM as well, and accordingly we get the things. Okay, so now let's go to the interview part. During the interview I will show what this whiteboard means. Okay, so now I'm logging as a candidate now, so going to sign in, and Now I can see here there is a start interview button, machine now technical round. Okay, so I'll click on this. So now it has access to my camera and microphone, and it will give you a brief summary of this AI interview. Now I'm just launching the interview.
Hi, I'm your AI interviewer. We'll keep this focused and conversational. Feel free to think aloud, and you can use the whiteboard for code. Let's begin. How would you implement a data preprocessing pipeline in Python to handle missing values and outliers in a large dataset?
Okay, so now the AI is listening. So how to implement a data processing pipeline by handling the missing value outlier in the data set. Okay, so basically what I will do to handle the missing value, I will check the percentage of the missing value. If that is too high, I will decide whether you can drop or not. And if the decision is to keep it with it, so I will just try to figure out what the value, the perfect value could be there. So the one thing can be like I can go with the mean, median, or but that not works all the time. So the situation can be, let's say there is a temperature across the day of the across the day of the year. So the problem is if you are just imputing with the average or median, that is not a correct value. So we can just take the average of the immediate two value behind it or after that. So that's how we can do this, and it depend upon the situation to situation. So yeah, and for the outlier, we can go for the um, 1 upon 5 into IQR interquartile range plus minus. So if the values are out from that, or if then we can discard this value. Apart from that, uh, if you want to discard the outlier, we can also choose for 3 sigma value. So if the value are behind the 3 sigma, or we can go for the box cost plot. So that also gives the same result. If you have anything else, just let me know.
Got it. Let's move on to the next topic. Can you compare the advantages and disadvantages of using scikit-learn's random forest versus gradient boosting for classification tasks?
So if you're going for the random forest, it is and bagging algorithm, and the gradient is the boosting algorithm. And what we do in the boosting algorithm eliminate the error made by the previous thing. And the advantage is for the random forest is that we can train in parallel, and the gradient descent is like we cannot. It is a sequential process, so we cannot go for the parallel training. And the main difference we can find in the random forest and gradient descent is that uh, uh, random first in the deep tree, and whereas the since gradient is the boosting algorithm, so it uses the shallow tree. If you have anything else, just let me know.
Continue.
uh, I think I'm done with the question. If you have any follow-up, please ask.
Got it. Let's move on to the next topic. Design a simple recommender system using a rule-based approach and explain how you would evaluate its performance.
So for the rule-based approach, we can cluster or we can see the product basis. So can you please give me more detail, like what kind of system you want to build, or what is the problems that you are trying to solve? Then I can give you a proper output for that.
Let's say we're building a simple product recommender system for an e-commerce website. We want to recommend products to users based on their past purchases and browsing history. Can you design a rule-based approach for this system and explain how you would evaluate its performance?
Yes, so we can go for the bucket analysis. So we can say like what are the product being uh, purchased in the last like purchased together. We can say in the last 3 to 4 days are in the same bucket. Let's say I'm going to Flipkart and I'm just purchasing 3 to 4 items in the same bucket. Then we can definitely, if someone is purchasing the item A, then we can recommend him item B as well. So that is a simple rule-based thing we can implement, and we can also check for the budget constraint. What is the average purchase value of a customer, and then we can recommend the product to the customer according to that.
Can you elaborate on how you would evaluate the performance of this rule-based recommender system?
So I can go for the A/B testing and I can check like if I have recommended a product someone is purchasing or not.
That makes sense. Let's move on to the next topic. Explain how you would use dimensionality reduction techniques, e.g., PCA, TSNE, to visualize high-dimensional data and identify potential issues with the data.
So the PCA and the TSNE are the date feature extraction technique. Basically, it combine the multiple feature and give the one composite feature. So uh, yeah, so if we are going for the better visualization, we can go for the TSNE, and the TSNE is also computationally cost. So if you're going for the production and you want a low latency system, you can go for the PCA. And to identify the potential issue, so the high dimensional data, the problem is that like if we're increasing the dimension, the data become more sparse. So instead of interpolating, we are doing extrapolation. So that's become a problem in the machine learning system.
Can you elaborate on how you would use these techniques to identify potential issues with the data?
So the one way I can do, like if doing so is not giving me a like very great visualization or the very good separation between the data, I can say there is just some issue with the data, like, or I can say that we cannot visually separate this data.
That makes sense. Let's move on to model deployment. Write a Python code snippet to deploy a trained machine learning model using MLflow and explain the benefits of using MLflow for model deployment.
So writing a code right now in the 2 minute will be very tough task for me, but to I can explain the benefit of the deploying a machine learning model in the ML flow. So ML flow, what it does, it provide a very good opportunity, like a way to version our model, and we can just with not just model, it just also uh, version the environment we are using and other supporting file like the embeddings or transformation files. So if you want to just change a model, we can have multiple version deployed, and we can just call from a single API. We can get all these things which are required, like what all the feature we are using, and to what is the model, basically the pickle file, and yeah, the conda environment file, and all the transformation we are using. We can just get into uh, single API call via the ML flow.
That makes sense. Let's move on to the next topic. Can you explain how you would handle class imbalance in a classification problem using techniques such as oversampling, undersampling, or SMOT? How would you handle class imbalance in a classification problem using techniques such as oversampling, undersampling, or SMOT?
So to handle imbalance classification problem, we can simply use we can give the more weightage to the small class and high weightage to the uh, sorry, a low weightage to the dominant class. That is the one way. And sklearn also provides a very good library called IMBlearn, that is the for the imbalance learning data, and the algorithms are tuned there according to that. Now coming to the oversampling and undersampling. So undersampling, we can take a decision, but that require a lot of verification because we lose the data here. Now for the oversampling, we can just oversample the minority class, and that's how we can balance the class. For the smart, it uses the synthetic data point to fill the gap between the uh, count of the minority and majority, and that's how we can use this technique.
That makes sense. Let's move on to the next topic. Can you explain the concept of feature engineering and provide an example of how you would engineer a new feature from existing features to improve model performance?
So this can be one very example. Let's say there are two circle, one inside other. The outer one is green and the inner one is let's say yellow. Now the problem is if you try to separate them, let's say the by algorithm of the logistic regression, so there is inbuilt bias in the data, a bias in the algorithm itself, because it is treating everything as a linear, and the problem is we have a one circle inside other circle. So so based on the problem, what I can do, I can just convert this data into the distance from the origin. So now since these are circles, what will happen, the inner circle will have less distance than the outer circle. So that's how, on the basis of the requirement and uh, by seeing the data and the problem, we can decide like how we can engineer or merge the two feature.
That makes sense. Let's move on to the next topic. Design a simple A/B testing experiment to compare the performance of two different machine learning models and explain how you would analyze the results.
Okay, so designing. Okay, so what I can do, let's say we have a two recommendation system and we want to recommend the product. So what we can do, uh, by the both algorithm, we can split the traffic between these two algorithm, and once we got the respond, and after few days we can check that okay, if actually a customer has purchased from the recommended system A or recommended system B, and we can go for the chi-square test, and we can check okay, if the p-value is less than 0.05, then it is okay. We can There is a clear-cut separation between these two algorithm, and if not, then we can say that okay, they're not the same, like they are almost same, you can say, kind of, but not exactly. Now coming to the point, if you're doing A/B testing in the recommendation system, there is one more point, that it is not always correct that if you are uh, selling a product to the customer, what he actually need does not mean that it will improve the KPI. Sometime it may happen because a business need a high value product to be sold, and might be the customer need a low value system, a low value product. So there is also a trade-off between these two. So you'll have to consider that as well for the business problem. If you have anything follow up, just let me know. Okay, so that was the interview. You can say like if you've asked the question, okay, give me the scenario, then the system also give you the scenario. And the last time it doesn't give me the follow-up. The reason was very simple. It was that yeah, it is in progress right now. The time was out. So yeah, so these all things are like in evaluation stage. it will take some time to get this number updated, and then we'll get a button here to go for the HR review. I will show you one example here. Okay, it is done. Good. So now we can go for the HR review analysis, hiring decision, decision history, and for every answer I have been marked. Now if we'll go to the HR review, so it is still in the local system. It will take some time to video get uploaded. Now we have key strength and the gap, clarity, depth, correctness, relevance, and all. And for every question we have an answer now. This thing is not getting uploaded. I think there's some problem with my RustFS. I have done recently some changes. If you see here, these videos are uploaded into RustFS, but these are not. I will look into this and figure it out why it is not happening. So that's all about the thing, and let me show you the tracing of this interview. So this is the evaluation now. So these are the latency we can see. So is complete confidence region the content provide the reasonability complementing option trade-off between using generative AI tools and writing code and everything. And the AI here automatically accept the answer and detect the ending type. So like if it automatically detect that okay this interview is over, so it will just move to the next question. So yeah, interview question, what are the implement, so, no sorry, this is some old, I think it has just redesign inside it and they have not asked this question, I think so. Okay, so if you see that recently we have like multiple 21 traces of the interview right now here, and observatory, yeah, these are the things, yeah, these are the recent, it is 741 42, and these are the traces, the interchange between the system and the LLM happened here. And yeah, current question, imbalance class and the employment, and this was the my answer to it. And whiteboard, no code were currently on the board, I didn't write any code in the board. And so follow up in advance. Okay, so acknowledgement, that makes sense. Follow up question, there is no follow-up. If this has been a follow-up question, then system will ask the follow-up question for that. I remember one of the question I have asked the explanation of the question, then the system give the explanation more for the recommendation system, you know. So yeah, feedback for the HR. And if the system asks you a follow-up question, then it explains you why this question. No, okay, so this is not a follow-up question. So if there is a follow-up question, then it will give you the reason why the system has asked the follow-up question. I don't know, like I don't have here. Let me see if you have any follow-up here or not. Mhm. I, I don't see right now, but yeah. So that was my overall project. Thank you for being with me.